What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and it's almost the end of 2025, which means it's time for me to pick my top 5 favorite smartphones of the year. Now, as every year, I do need to give some disclaimers. These are my top 5 picks. No doubt they're going to be different to yours, and that's fine guys. We can still be friends. Drop your favorites down in the comments below. Also, I've used lots of different smartphones this year, as you can see, but I've not used every single one. So there may be a smartphone that you feel that should have been on this list, which I've simply not had a chance to use. Once again, that's fine. Drop that in the comments. And finally, this list is in no particular order. I'm just giving you my top 5 favorites. However, I will be revealing my personal picks, my daily drivers, in the upcoming SuperSaf style collaboration with my friends. You're going to want to see that first, so be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you haven't already. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get to the list. So the first smartphone on my list, once again in no particular order, is a smartphone that was one of the first to release and it still holds up. That is, of course, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Now, this is one of the best all-rounders out there. I do like the refreshed design with the flat sides. It has my personal favorite display on any smartphone, and that's thanks to Gorilla Armor, which gives it anti-reflective properties. We've got excellent all-round cameras, now with log video recording. It's powered by the flagship Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, so performance is top-notch. And although the S Pen no longer has air actions, so you can't use it remotely, it's still the go-to if you want a smartphone with a pen. Now, Samsung has promised 7 generations of Android OS updates, and they have been very good with updates. I've said this before, but for me, Galaxy AI is the most complete AI package on any smartphone, especially when it comes to generative AI. With the S25 Ultra, you can literally cover half of your face and it's going to be able to generatively fill that in for you. Not only that, there's certain AI features like browsing assist where I can summarize web pages, which I actually use every single day. Now, although the battery life is very good, it's not as good or as large as many other smartphones on this list. And that's because Samsung is still not using silicon carbon technology, so the battery capacity is just not that large. It's also only got an IP68 water and dust resistant rating, whereas lots of the competition now have IP68 and IP69, which means they can withstand high pressure water jets. And the S25 Ultra is quite pricey. The starting price was around $1,300 or £1,250. Now, granted, that was towards the beginning of the year, and now you can actually pick up some great deals. I will drop some links to deals in the description below for all of the smartphones featured today. Now, an honorable mention does have to go to the S25 and the S25 Plus. They're excellent smartphones and offer a lot of what the S25 Ultra does, but at a lower price. The S25 Edge is something that is pretty cool, but it's not something that I see many people buying. Now, for the next smartphone on my list, it is an iPhone, and it's probably not the iPhone you expect, and it's not the iPhone that I actually use on a daily basis. However, in my opinion, it's the best iPhone deal, and it's the one that I recommend to most people. And that is, of course, the iPhone 17. Finally, we have 120 Hertz for the display, and it's the same ProMotion display that we've got on the Pro models. Apple has been holding this back for the base model for many, many years. So we've got 3000 nits of outdoor peak brightness with Ceramic Shield 2, which is great for resisting scratches. We've also got the same center stage camera as we have in the Pro models. This is an 18 megapixel camera with a square sensor, and that means you can take both portrait and landscape images without having to rotate your phone. Although it doesn't have the Pro chip, the A19 chip is more than capable and is 20% faster compared to what we had on the iPhone 16. And one of the best things about the iPhone 17 is that you now get double the storage for the same starting price as the iPhone 16. So that's £800 or $800, which actually makes it quite competitive. Now, we have really good cameras on the iPhone 17, but they're not quite the pro level that we have on the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. And although there is an ultra-wide and primary camera, there is no telephoto camera. You can get 2 times lossless zoom, but it's not the same as having a dedicated zoom camera. And the design hasn't really changed too much compared to the previous years. However, if you're in the market for a new iPhone, the iPhone 17 would be my recommendation. Now, an honorable mention does have to go to the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. I actually like the new design, although they've gone to aluminium from titanium. The performance is amazing with the A19 Pro as expected. We've got the biggest batteries ever on an iPhone, and although they may not be as big as other devices, the battery life is very good, and we've got excellent all-round cameras with consistent images and video. Now, the next smartphone on my list is something that I've been waiting for a very long time, and that is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. Finally, Samsung has caught up to the competition. It felt like the past few years they were really falling behind. But when you go from the Fold 6 to the Fold 7, it is a huge upgrade. It's almost like Samsung was watching my feedback in previous videos and literally checking off pretty much everything that I asked for. The Z Fold 7 is an amazing foldable. It's super thin, just around 4.2 millimeters when it's unfolded, making it one of the thinnest smartphones out there. And just 8.9 millimeters when it's folded shut, weighing just 215 grams, which makes it lighter compared to the S25 Ultra. It finally has a usable 6.5-inch cover display, and this might actually be a bit of a negative because I find myself not opening it up as much as I would have thought. But regardless, when you do open it, you have a beautiful 8-inch dynamic AMOLED display, and it's great for multitasking. I love it to display photos and videos when I'm sharing them with friends and family. And we have pretty much the same flagship level 200 megapixel primary camera as we have on the S25 Ultra. Performance is great with the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, and once again, Samsung have promised 7 generations of OS updates, and we have the same AI features that we have on the S25 series. Now, it's not perfect. The price is very high, starting price of around £1,800 or $1,900, which is higher compared to last year in the US. The ultra-wide and telephoto cameras are good, but they're not quite flagship level. And the battery, although the battery life is fine for your day-to-day, it is tiny in comparison to the competition, 4,400 milliamps. And once again, if Samsung did opt for silicon carbon technology, then you'd be able to get a much larger battery in a similar form factor. And finally, there is no more S Pen support like we've had in previous generations, which is something that I'm willing to live with. Now, the next smartphone on my list, spoiler alert, is another foldable. As you can probably tell, I really like foldables. Now, this foldable actually has a lot of things that the Z Fold 7 does not, and that is the Honor Magic V5. Now, Honor has really been developing their foldables over the past few years, and I think they've done an amazing job with the V5. Although it's similar in size overall to the Z Fold 7, there has been a bit of controversy about the claims that Honor has been making about how thin it is and if it's actually the thinnest foldable. I don't think that really matters. It's roughly about the same size as the Z Fold 7, but it has a much larger battery, 5,820 milliamps, because it is using silicon carbon technology. And that means it has much better battery life compared to the Z Fold 7. We've also got faster charging, 66 watts wide with 50 watts of wireless charging. And it also supports Honor's Magic Pen. Now, granted, this is not exactly the same as, say, the S Pen on the S25 Ultra, which also has pressure sensitivity, but nevertheless, the option for having a pen is on there, and it works on both the cover as well as the main display.
What the hell is even that?
And those displays are very good. A very usable 6.43-inch cover display with a large 7.95-inch folding display. What's unique about Honor displays is that they have 4,320 Hz PWM dimming. And that means that these displays are very easy on the eyes in low light environments. Honor is matching Samsung and Google by offering 7 years of software updates in the UK and the EU. And although I would say that the Galaxy Z Fold 7 has a better primary camera, the Honor Magic V5 has better ultra-wide and telephoto cameras. Now, it does have quite a large camera bump, but that means it doesn't wobble on the desk.
Nice.
And it also gives your finger somewhere to rest. And the price is actually quite competitive at £1,700. However, at this point in time, you can get the Honor Magic V5 for around £1,300. Now, that is a significant difference compared to the equivalent 512GB version of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, which is around £1,900. So if you're after an amazing foldable that's not going to set you back in terms of price compared to some of the competition, then the Honor Magic V5 is an amazing option. Now, for this final pick, things were actually really difficult, and that's because traditionally, smartphones that would have released next year have now released early. Qualcomm announced the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 in September, and we've also had the MediaTek Dimensity 9500. These are flagship chips for 2026. But many smartphones have already come out which have these chips. And the question I've been asking is, should these smartphones be included in the end of 2025 year list? Well, eventually what I settled on is the fact that every single best smartphone roundup or smartphone awards towards the end of 2025 will consider the iPhone 17 series, which came out in September. Now, a lot of these new smartphones have come out in October and November. So either less than a month or just over a month after the iPhone. So if we're including the new iPhone 17 series in these lists, then of course we have to include these. And I've decided that whatever is out at the time of this video is something that I can consider. Now, we've already had lots of new smartphones that have come out towards the end of the year, but I've been testing 3, and those are the Vivo X300 Pro, the Oppo Find X9 Pro, as well as the OnePlus 15. So which one of these 3 has made my list? Well, the Vivo X300 Pro is an amazing smartphone. It's powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 9500. It's got completely revamped software with Origin OS, and it's got amazing cameras, some of the best cameras out there. But it's not readily available in the UK, and although you can get it imported in, it's not something that's commercially available here. Because of that, that gets an honorable mention. Now, between the Oppo Find X9 Pro and OnePlus 15, which look pretty much exactly the same. I mean, you could literally consider them twins. The Oppo Find X9 Pro is an amazing smartphone, especially the cameras, and it has one of the biggest batteries on any smartphone, 7,500 milliamps, powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 9500. Now, that almost made my list, but it is pretty pricey at £1,100. And that's why the last smartphone on my list, once again in no particular order, is the OnePlus 15. The OnePlus 15 is an excellent smartphone with the world's first 1.5K 165Hz display. It's one of the fastest smartphones in the world with a unique triple chip setup. So it's got the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. I believe it's the first device in Western markets, especially the UK and US, to launch with the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. But it also has a dedicated touch response chip as well as an advanced Wi-Fi chip. And although the battery isn't as large as the Oppo Find X9 Pro, it is still massive at 7,300 milliamps. It supports some of the fastest charging out there, 120 watt Super VOOC, so you can get 100% charge in 39 minutes. That's much faster than competitors with much smaller batteries. It also has 50 watts of wireless charging. Now, I would say that the cameras overall are good, but they're not as good as some of the competition. But we do have a nice triple 50 megapixel rear-facing camera setup with 4K 120 frames a second Dolby Vision for all cameras and 10-bit log video. And I mentioned the price. Well, the starting price for the OnePlus 15 is £850, and that is for the 256GB version. However, OnePlus is actually offering the larger storage model for £879, which is just £30 more than the base model. I'll leave details for that down in the description below. And that makes it significantly lower in price compared to something like the Oppo Find X9 Pro. And in my opinion, that's an amazing deal. Now, as much as I love Oxygen OS, OnePlus are only promising 4 years of OS updates and 6 years of security updates, which is pretty respectable, but it's not as good as what Samsung, Google, and Honor are offering with 7 years. But regardless, for the price, it's an amazing smartphone. Now, before we conclude, a few honorable mentions, which you may have seen in my mid-year top 5 list. Firstly, the Honor Magic 7 Pro, an excellent all-rounder, and you can get it for as little as around £700 or even lower because it has been out for a few months and it's an excellent deal. We can't forget about the Vivo X200 Ultra, which has amazing cameras. I'm sure it's going to be replaced with the Vivo X300 Ultra very soon. Once again, these are not readily available here in the UK. And of course, the Xiaomi 15 Ultra, which is also an absolute beast. So that was my end of year 2025 to 2026 top 5 smartphone list with the honorable mentions. As I said towards the start of this video, guys, my list is going to be different to your list. That's absolutely fine, guys. Drop your favorites down in the comments below. And I will be revealing my personal picks, my daily drivers in the upcoming SuperSaf style collaboration with my friends. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to see it first. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do smash that like button for me. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.